Right, we're going to go ahead and get started now. We'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to participate in our presentation today, covering FSI's Custom Maintenance Software, or CMS. CMS has been designed to be the most adaptable, healthcare-oriented software in the industry. First, just a little background on FSI. Headquartered in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, FSI currently provides our CMS package to over 650 healthcare customers across the U.S. and Canada, and we maintain a 99.4% customer retention rate. With our own in-house development team, FSI is focused on our healthcare customers' priorities, things like the ability to easily show a list of your high-risk equipment, how you're doing with elements of performance associated with various EOC codes, and powerful mobile solutions. The CMS family of software products has grown over the years to include our handheld solution, CMS Tech, and our new offerings, CMS View and CMS Rounding. We'll dig into these in just a couple of minutes. Our CMS software is a cloud-based system used by all these hospitals. This enables us to ensure that all customers are on the same version of the software without their having to maintain costly servers within their IT infrastructure. As new enhancements are added, they become available to all of our customers across the board. Our licensing is very straightforward, without any limits to the number of users, the number of handheld devices used, the number of work request screens and dashboards that you want to have, and we've got the best ongoing support in the industry based on our 15-year history of working with hospitals all across the country. With CMS, the dashboards and screens can be adjusted and customized to show the level of information needed for that particular user role. User roles are how we determine the appropriate level of access into the system, and different CMS dashboards can be set up for each user role. You will have the ability to define and set up as many user roles as you need, and you can do this yourselves within the CMS interface. For a couple of examples regarding how we can set up those dashboards, I'm going to log in as 3 different users. At its simplest, someone logging in might be a work order technician whose primary function is to essentially see the work orders that are assigned to him and then be able to complete those. So in that instance, when that particular user logs in, you can see in the upper right-hand corner, we're currently logged in as Jason Goodwin. What he sees is a list of my work orders. So these are active work orders that are currently assigned to that particular individual. He doesn't have to run a search or a report or anything like that. It's just waiting for him as soon as he logs into the system. Should also point out that this particular user has a somewhat restricted level of access, as we can see in the navigation menu on the left-hand side. He can create a work order, he can search for work orders, he can search for equipment and more, but there's no ability to go in and configure different parts of the system. Now if I log out as Jason and log in as a different user, in this instance, we've got somebody who's possibly coming from another system and they're used to a particular format with their dashboards. We can set those up to essentially show whatever information is needed by that particular user role within CMS. So here I've just logged in as John Smith, and we see a different My CMS. My CMS is the dashboard that you land on as soon as you log in to the CMS system. In this case, what we're seeing are several different sections or portals. In the first one, we see new requests. These are requests that are coming in from the floors via the electronic work request capability. Clicking on a pencil icon will enable you to drill directly into that individual work order for assignment and other purposes. Below, we can see a listing of all of the active demand work orders. These are requests which have come in from the floors. And below there, any overdue work orders. And then below that, active PM work orders. So you do have the ability to have as much or as little information displayed on your MyCMS dashboard as you wish. Finally, one more example. We'll log out as that individual and log in as Mike Miller. Now, when Mike logs in addition to having work orders assigned to him, he has some supervisory responsibilities within the department. As such, when he logs into CMS, he's going to see a different dashboard from what we've seen so far. This one is a little more enhanced. What we've got are different sections on here. Again, we call them portals. In the upper left corner, I've got one here called Shop Notes. So if you want an electronic bulletin board for information which needs to be available for all people logging into CMS, you can deploy that as well and have that on everybody's dashboard, no matter what user role they're using. Below there, pending requests coming in from the floors. I should also point out that you do have the ability to sort these by simply clicking on a column header, and that's a consistent philosophy throughout the CMS design. Anytime you see a list of results like that, you have the ability to sort those by simply clicking on a column header. So now I can see all of the first floor stuff together, all the second floor, all the third floor, etc. Below there, here's a listing of all the active work orders that are assigned to Mike Miller. So again, clicking on a pencil icon, you could go in, charge time, materials, enter completion comments, and complete the work order. On the right-hand side, we have a couple of graphical representations that's showing the current workload. The first one is work orders open for more than 5 days, broken out by the trade or the shop. You can see the HVAC folks are running a little bit behind, and plumbing repair and installation is pretty well caught up. Below there, active request work orders to the individual to whom they're assigned. So here we can see a list of the folks who are out completing work orders and how many active requests they have from the floors that they're currently working on. Below there, here's a list of all of my people and how many work orders they have. So this is the staff within the facilities department here. The first column is the name of the individual. Then we've got how many scheduled or recurring preventive maintenance type work orders they have, and how many unscheduled service calls from the floors, and then a total. Just as we saw over in the other portal, if I want to sort these by one of these particular columns, just click on it. First time it sorts them 0 up, ascending. Second time it sorts them descending. So now I can see that, for instance, Alex Hamilton has 21 PMs and 9 service calls. If I want to see details on that, just click the little icon right in front of his name, and you'll see it then expand out so that we can see the individual details on the work orders to which he is currently assigned. Now, just a moment ago, you saw a little grayed out section, and that's when the pending request portal was actually looking to see if any new requests had come into the system. So you could leave this dashboard open without having to refresh the page or anything, and every 2 minutes or whatever frequency you desire, you can set it up to look for new requests coming into the system so they populate the pending request portal and are then ready for assignment like we just saw. That's 3 examples of the My CMS dashboard. Jump back into our presentation here. We do include our standard CMS Tech handheld application, and it runs with Apple, Android, and Windows devices. It's included with the CMS subscription. It gives the technician on the floor immediate access to his work orders and equipment records. We recently developed a new product called CMS View, and that enables you to actually see the locations of equipment and PMs right on the floor plan while using your iPad, for example. CMS View customers with the appropriate level of access can actually reposition equipment right on the floor plan right from the iPad or from a web browser. Work orders can be completed easily using the CMS View and CMS Tech interfaces. Just to take a quick look at CMS View while we're here, I'm going to pull up CMS Tech. Now, CMS Tech is our handheld solution. This can run again on an iPad, a smartphone, a variety of different handheld devices. You can have different formats. We're looking at the card view currently, and that works out really well when you have an iPad or even an iPhone where you need to be able to scroll through a small piece of real estate and see those work orders. You can look at them in a grid view as well, and then just as we saw before, if you want to sort these by location or by the type of work order, that's all immediately available to you right there. The card view is handy when you have limited real estate, like on a tablet or a smartphone. On the right side to that, we've got CMS View. Now, when I click on CMS View, that'll pull up some floor plan information. You can see that I've got multiple buildings on the left-hand side, Pittsburgh MOB and Pittsburgh Tower. You can have multiple floors within those buildings, and you can have multiple drawings of each floor. Just zooming in a little bit, what we have here is an architectural drawing. If I wanted to see it as a life safety drawing, I can do that, or a med gas drawing. So you have the ability to have different flavors of the same floor plan residing within CMS View. Now, what can we see on that floor plan? Well, maybe I want to see all the work orders that are assigned to me on that particular floor. In this case, I've got 2 regular work requests, 5 PMs, and 1 corrective maintenance. If I want to see all of those, I can just click that icon, and we see the different icons that show up for preventive maintenance work orders, corrective maintenance, and regular requests. You'll note that on the PMs, if it's overdue, we've got the exclamation point on there as well to kind of highlight that. In addition to seeing work orders, you can also see equipment records on there as well. So let's say I wanted to see all of the fire extinguishers on this particular floor. By doing so, I can simply highlight that. Maybe I also want to see any air handler units. So you've got the ability to quickly pull up your equipment and your work orders right on that floor plan. If you want to see details, you can drill into it. And let's say you're walking down the hall with your iPad and you see this fire extinguisher and you want to see the history on that. Well, by simply tapping that icon, it'll pull up the record for that particular fire extinguisher where we can see the manufacturer, model number, serial number, and everything else. You want to see the history, just click the History tab, and now you can see every work order which has ever been issued associated with this particular fire extinguisher, whether it's a monthly or an annual PM, a service call, whatever it might be. But let's say you notice as you're walking down the hall that that fire extinguisher icon isn't in the right place. Do you have the ability to move that to the appropriate location? With the right level of access, yes you do. By clicking on the CMS View tab within the asset record, you can drill down, see the location of that particular icon. And let's say that it actually needs to be positioned over on this wall below. Well, by clicking and dragging that icon, and then clicking Save, if you have the right level of access again, we will see that icon now has moved. So you don't have to send it off to your vendor to update the drawings or anything like that. You have the ability at the user level to be able to go in and make those kinds of changes. Let's also say that perhaps you are utilizing the FSI VR360 capability. That's a service where we can actually come in and just to show you an example. VR360 means that you have the ability to see a representation of an actual room. In this case, we go in with a camera and do a 360 view of that particular room. If I wanted to look at a different spot, I can do that, bring it in, maybe drive in and see additional information on what asset number it is or something like that. Spin it around, move down to the other end of the floor, and then I can always spin it around and look back as well. So CMS VR360 is a new capability that we've added. Our teams can come out and provide this kind of information for you and then place those actually on that floor plan. You might also have photographs that you want to attach. Perhaps it's a picture of a fire extinguisher or something like that. Maybe it's an image of a, let's try this one. In this case, it's an electric box. So again, you can have all different kinds of items showing up on your floor plan with CMS View. Very flexible kind of capability. Now CMS does have built-in compliance reporting with our EP dashboard, and that shows how you're doing with the elements of performance associated with various EOC codes for things like fire protection systems and emergency power systems. And you can also build customized dashboards for any other AHJs that you might need. Built from the ground up for healthcare, we've developed a comprehensive system that leverages the information in your database to provide your compliance needs. Joint Commission equipment classifications are a standard component of CMS, as are the customizable risk strategy capabilities. FSI's robust reporting capabilities within CMS enable healthcare customers to quickly access the information they need, whether it's a PM completion percentage focused on high-risk assets, or a report showing on-time completion percentages by work order type, or a breakout by employee of those statistics. CMS has powerful tools to help you manage your department from a compliance viewpoint. Our PM procedure library is packed with capabilities such as compliance-focused job plans, PM job plans with data readings for trending purposes, and support for your AEM program. Everything you see on the screen and more is included with your CMS subscription. We haven't always had all of these capabilities, but over the years, we've taken the input from our customers and added new functionality when it made sense. From automated notification to requesters on the updated status of their work orders, to electronic satisfaction surveys, and from handheld software for both Apple and Android devices to our EP dashboard compliance reporting, we've leveraged the experiences of our customers into the most flexible, adaptable software system possible. In terms of flexibility, here are some examples of hospital departments currently utilizing our CMS package. Everybody from biomed to environmental services to fleet management and of course plant operations can dial in the software to meet their specific needs. You'll be able to do this because of our outstanding training and support structure. I mentioned earlier our customer retention rate, and that's something we're pretty proud of. FSI has retained our services-oriented focus even as we've grown as a software company. We've got a number of ways to reach out to us for help, and we also have included recorded tutorials on specific software functionality right within the online help system. To take it a step further, FSI has a program of proactive customer contact where our support team will call existing customers to check in and see how things are going. It's not a sales call, but it's a way to help customers use CMS in the best ways possible. So who uses CMS? Well, these are a few of the healthcare organizations which have chosen FSI and CMS for their daily operations. Several of those are multiple site healthcare systems like Carolinas Healthcare, HealthSouth, MedExcel, and the Cleveland Clinic. And we have everything from 15-bed surgical hospitals all the way up to healthcare organizations with over 100 sites. CMS is a very scalable solution. Here are some other standard CMS dashboards that can enhance your daily operations. We'll open CMS back up here. And as one example, if I were to jump over to my Reports tab, and note that in my CMS dashboard, I've got multiple tabs running across the top. We've got the opening screen. Maybe I have reports that I want to refer to repeatedly. I can pull them in this particular tab instead of scrolling through the 285 standard reports that are included with the system. I can see my PM management if I want to see PMs that are going to be coming due in the next 14 days, for example. That information can be available for me right here. So these are PMs that are upcoming. If I had any overdue high-risk correctives, overdue work orders on high-risk equipment, that information would show up here. Below, I've got a section on my dashboard set up to where if there is a PM data reading that is outside of a tolerance that I've specified, it can automatically generate a corrective work order for someone to go out and fix the problem or take a closer look at it. So again, I have yet to run a report or a search. It's all information that's available for me as soon as I log into the system. Another example might be a call center interface. This is one where I've got multiple departments. For instance, I've got biomedical, environmental services, and facilities management, and these are requests that are coming in from a variety of sources and are ready for assignment. You can also have perhaps project management. CMS does come with a projects module, and you've got the ability to keep track of your spending versus the budgets and all those types of things as well. But going back to the reports, I want to pull up an example of a report, the EP dashboard. The EP dashboard is a great tool, and a number of our customers have used it when going through a Joint Commission survey. The EP dashboard, if I fire that up right here, the EP dashboard will actually give you the ability to take a look at your compliance efforts at several different levels: full campus level, a building, or an individual floor. In this case, I'm going to choose a particular campus. We'll say Pittsburgh East. We're in Pittsburgh. And then I can pick a date range. Let's just say all of 2016. We'll pull that up and then run that report. Now when that comes up, it's going to actually show us the individual elements of performance associated with a couple of EOC codes. In this example, the ones for fire protection systems and emergency power systems. You'll see we have the months broken up. Let me expand this out of here a little bit. You see we have the individual months appearing across the top for 2016 in this case. And then we have these different color-coded indicators as to how we did. For instance, on EP2, where we're testing valve tamper switches, you see the dark green means that everything passed, there were no issues. The dark green with a little red tick mark in there means everything passed, but it was completed past due. So in other words, it was past the due date, but it was eventually completed. The light green means that there was an initial failure which has since been resolved. So everything's okay now, but how did it get to that point? To see details on that, by the way, if I click on that icon, I know that that means that there was an initial failure which has since been resolved. Let's take a look at any of that data behind there. So rather than just having the pretty icons, it's actually a functioning report where you can drill down in and start pulling out details. In this example, we had a work order number right here, 49942. The technician went out of a flow switch test, and he had to answer 2 individual questions on there. Was a signal received at the alarm panel within 90 seconds? He answered no. That would be a problem. Did the flow switch pass the test? No. And based on the individual data readings set up for that PM, that no answer automatically generated this particular child work order to the PM parent. If you want to see details on that, by the way, you can drill into it by simply clicking on that work order number. This is a live EP dashboard, so I can actually drill in and see the particulars as to what was done to fix a problem that might have come up as a result of those data readings and everything else. So again, that information is available right at our fingertips. Let's take a look at a couple of other dashboards that we have built into the system. And again, you can have your own customized dashboards put together. We can do it. We can train you how to do it. A lot of flexibility there. I'm just going to look for dashboards. I'll do a wildcard search on Dash, and it'll pull up any of the ones that I have in here for dashboards. So as an example, our work order dashboard, when I pull that up, that's going to show me some statistics on the level of service that we're actually providing to our customers. What are the top 10 departments that are putting in work requests? The number of open work orders by trade, past due PMs by trade, and then down below the daily service call backlog trends. So there's a good snapshot of what's going on with our workload from that work order perspective. Another example might be the, the rounding dashboard. So let's go the rounding dashboard there. And when I fire that one up, I can determine from our CMS rounding software which type of rounds were we looking at. Let's go with EOC rounds and then view that report. It'll then provide me with a dashboard showing the details from those EOC rounds that we've been doing, noting the number of deficiencies broken out by the month. Below, the number of delinquent deficiencies. We've got 10 of them open for more than 31 days, and you can see the other breakouts there. Open facilities deficiencies. Now these are ones where work orders were generated for the facilities department directly out of our CMS rounding software. In other words, an issue was found during the rounds. It's something that facilities is responsible for. The system has the ability to automatically generate a work order for the facilities department to go out and resolve those issues. And then when the work order is completed within CMS, it will resolve that finding as well. So it's a very flexible reporting kind of capability with any number of different dashboards available to you. Jumping back into this. So CMS rounding, as I mentioned, is a versatile new tool that we put together based on input from our customers. We had hospitals tell us that they have people going in with pieces of paper, a 4 or 5 man team. Then you have to pull those notes together at the end of the day and get things out to be taken care of by the appropriate responsible parties. Whether you do only environment of care rounds or you do multiple types of rounds, CMS rounding provides users with a consolidated collaborative approach. This consolidated approach removes the need for the time-consuming process of pulling all the notes from the various rounding team members into one report for further action. CMS rounding automatically sends emails to the appropriate responsible parties with information on any issues found, along with a hyperlink to report that the issue has been resolved. For hospitals running CMS, CMS rounding can automatically generate work orders for the facilities department, for instance, on items which need to be corrected. And then upon work order completion, as we said, the system updates the status of the issue in CMS rounding to reflect that the problem has now been resolved. Taking a quick look at CMS rounding so we can see where we're coming from with that. I'm going to go ahead and log into rounding, and it will then fire up the dashboard. In this case, the facilities management setup here. The top part is recent and ongoing rounds. The bottom part is open findings. Open findings are created when a round is finalized. And what does that look like? What did we find? In this case, let's see, we had a fire door that was blocked open. So someone could actually capture that information on their iPad and be able to note that the fire door was blocked open. They could even take a photograph of the blocked open fire door and attach that right to the finding. Didn't do that on this one. Go back to the findings. So you can have any number of different ones, and you see we got fire extinguisher has no tag. That probably generated a work order. Found a laptop sitting on a desk under the security section. So a variety of different types of findings. To get back to my home screen, I can get back to here. And you see we've got several different types of rounds going on. We've got building security rounds, construction punch lists, EOC rounds, safety. It's a very customizable solution. You can set up your own rounds, as many different types of rounds as you want. You walk into a department, identify the appropriate areas that you're going to touch, and then you start the process. As an example, in 4th floor telemetry, I'll fire that one up. And this is an example of an EOC round. You see the various disciplines on the left-hand side: security, medical equipment, safety management, fire prevention, and you see the different associated questions that we have in our library for those. Now yours might be somewhat different. This is an example that we put in for demonstration purposes. But for instance, let's say that you're taking a walk through the department and you notice that there are some boxes that are stacked up pretty close to a sprinkler head. How do you create a finding? Well, that's what the plus sign is for. When I click on that, I can plug in my location. I'm in Pittsburgh East and I'm in the main building. I'm on the 4th floor. And now I could plug in a particular room number if I wanted to do that, maybe a storage closet. And then I can plug in comments as to what I found. Boxes to ceiling. I could include a photograph if I wanted to take a picture of that, and that would actually attach it to the finding. I'll click on submit, and we now see that we've got this little red 1 indicator out here. That means that we currently have one finding based on that particular item. If you found the same thing 3 different times, just click the plus sign a couple more times and enter those, and each of those individual ones will create a finding which needs to be resolved by the appropriate person within that department. If I were to go up to the security, so I've got someone walking through, somebody didn't have their ID badge displayed. Well, again, we can create the finding there, plug in my location, Pittsburgh East, main building, 4th floor, and employee with no badge showing. Again, I could take a picture. They may not like that. I'll go ahead and submit that. And now you can see that we're beginning to accrue these various findings that we're coming up with as a result of this particular round that we're doing. At the end of the day, that can then be finalized. And what's then going to happen is anything that needs to create a work order, we'll create that work order within CMS if you're running our software. If not, it'll put together an email to the appropriate responsible parties to take care of things that need to be taken care of. This is what that email looks like. Here we see one where we had some findings that included a fire extinguisher that had no tag. That one created a work order for the facilities department. But there were some other items in that particular round: oxygen tank not secured, emergency door propped open, boxes stacked to ceiling, fire door blocked open, any number of items that can be in there. If you wanted to see, well, if you're the responsible party in that particular department in terms of getting those things cleaned up, so you take care of those issues and you need to mark that they've been resolved. Well, they can then open the EOC findings by simply clicking on that link. That'll then open up CMS rounds, and it'll only show the findings that are associated with that particular individual. So for instance, the boxes stacked to ceiling that we put in back in December. Here's one, boxes are stacked too high on the shelves. So again, if these issues have since been resolved, let me just take it to the next page. If these issues have been resolved, you can go in and resolve them by clicking on the finding. If you wanted to review the image that somebody had taken of the inaccessible fire extinguisher, that would be available to you right there as well. Now, what did you do to fix the problem? You could go in and then resolve it utilizing the notes capability there. Again, we'll pull up the unresolved ones, and fire door blocked open. So in this case, they trained the staff on not leaving the door blocked open, and then they could then resolve that issue. So again, the appropriate responsible parties within the department will receive that email detailing what those findings were so that they can then resolve those issues in a timely manner, and ideally have the deficiency delay removed from that rounding dashboard that we took a look at earlier. In summary, FSI provides our scalable, healthcare-oriented CMMS solution for hundreds of U.S. hospitals with a variety of customizable dashboards, handheld solutions for both Apple and Android, floor plan visualization with CMS View, and an integrated CMS rounding solution for your environment of care and other rounds. We'd like to thank you for taking the time today to participate in our webinar showcasing our custom maintenance software, or CMS. If you'd like additional information or to schedule a CMS demonstration for your organization, please give us a call at 412-567-4070, or you can email us at sales@fsiservices.com. This concludes today's presentation, and again, we thank you.